So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another unique video which was requested from my Facebook page. So, today we are going to be covering a topic on when exalted planets give bad results. Why do exalted planets give bad results? So, in astrology, exalted planet simply means something that is at its highest state. It's at its exalted state. That means it's supposed to give good results, and yet it gives bad results. So why does it do that? And if you do not know, if you have exalted planets in your chart, you know what house they're placed in, what nakshatra they're placed in, all the other astrological details. For that, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books, consultations, and link to my academy, Magha Vedic Astrology Academy, where you learn A through Z of astrology. So let's talk about this very interesting subject. So, in astrology, it's actually not as simple as looking at an exalted Saturn and an exalted Venus or exalted Jupiter and be like, well, you have an exalted Jupiter, that means you're going to get a lot of money, you're going to have lots of children. You know, you have exalted Venus, you're going to always attract the most beautiful partner, the most beautiful marriage in life. And it turns out to be completely opposite because, number one, the meaning of exalted planets is very much misconstrued. It has gotten misconstrued because, of lack of knowledge, I would say. Okay, and we have all fell into that trap. Even I have fell into that trap. Until, after enough practice, you're like, no, that's not true. Because especially in Vedic astrology, degrees make a lot of difference. Degrees make a lot of difference. 1 degree here and there, and a planet will give completely different results. Okay, like for example, you have a debilitated sun. Oh, well, you have low self-esteem, you have low confidence, you're always going to have trouble with authorities, this and that. And yet, none of that is true. Why? Because perhaps at a certain degree, this planet is behaving like it's exalted. So one thing, the very first rule of this is this. Forget about exalted and debilitation of planets. Whether planets at its lowest state by sign or a high state by sign, forget that. Once you forget the fact that is this planet exalted or debilitated, you look for the quality of the sign. What is this planet going to behave like? Because it's like a planet, okay, when it comes into a certain zodiac sign, just think of it as a certain closet. And what happens is the zodiac sign wears the jacket. They try out the jacket, they try out the tie or the hat, and they're seeing how they're looking. That's all that zodiac sign is. So a debilitated Saturn and an exalted Saturn, they're just wearing a certain type of a jacket. Now, especially in Vedic astrology, we use divisional charts for every situation. So if you're looking at that situation regarding your lineage, regarding your DNA, regarding what patterns you are bringing through your lineage that you're born into, we're going to look at the D12 chart, the Dwadasamsa chart. Okay? If we are looking for strength of planets, how strong is this planet? Well, the very first basic principle of this scenario is that you see what ascendant the individual is. Because once you know the ascendant, and if you study Vedic astrology, then you realize that, okay, these and these planets will behave much better than this, and this planet. So, for example, for Taurus ascendant, you have a Taurus ascendant. Naturally, you would know that Jupiter becomes very malefic. Mars becomes quite malefic for this ascendant. Not only that, Venus itself becomes malefic, not malefic, but is not capable of giving the desired results. Because Venus, for Taurus ascendant, rules the 6th house of obstacles, issues, problems, disputes. and by its main sign, Libra. So in astrology, there's this competition. One sign is the main sign, the other sign is like a vacation home. And so Jupiter rules the 8th house with its main sign, Sagittarius. Mars rules the 12th house with its main sign, Aries. So naturally, these planets are not so well for this particular ascendant. So for this ascendant, all of the ascendant with Taurus will face natural challenges related to Jupiter, Mars, and Venus itself. Because in astrology, it is said that for Taurus ascendant, or especially when a benefic planet rules the quadrant house known as Kendra and rules the difficult house like 6th, 8, or 12, that particular planet is not able to give the full result of its quality and fullest to its extent. It becomes either neutral, it becomes, quite harsh and devastating, but it's not going to be at its highest potential. So that's one thing. So as soon as you see the chart, okay, these are the planets that are against the will of this ascendant. Then the second step is this exalted planet, okay, what results is going to give? Well, how is this planet placed? So let's say if I have this great body, although I don't, I've got this one pack here. But let's say Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Olympia 7 times, big, great body. And when you look at that Adonis body, you're like, my God, this is the body I want. I want this body. And when you're saying that, you are including not only the external features, but also the internal features, because the internal features is what makes the exterior features. So for example, you want to get Arnold Schwarzenegger body, but that body also comes with, let's say, some chronic illness, some issue, let's say with the heart. Although I don't think he has any of that. Maybe I think he just got a surgery or something done, but I'm just giving an example. So when you understand the body itself, the inside and out, you realize, okay, I got this exalted Venus in Pisces. Oh God, I got a great body of Venus. Well, have you checked the internal organs? Have you checked the fact that how weak or strong the body is internally? Maybe this particular exalted Venus has got liver issues, has got kidney issues, they got sugar issues, diabetes. So yes, they look beautiful, but they're hooked up with insulin and they have to take all these medicine to work out. Why? Because in the Navamsha, the D9 chart of Vedic astrology, it shows the heart of the planet. It shows the internal organ. So Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces in the birth chart, but it's in the sign of let's say sign of Scorpio in the Navamsha. Well, that's a troublesome Venus. Like a man could even be physically abused by the spouse. They will get the most harshest person after marriage. The person will suddenly turn around. And then, that's not even it. You look at the D60 chart, known as the Sastyamsa chart, which changes in 2.5 minutes. Navamsha changes in 15. Birth chart changes in 2 hours. So obviously, when the time of birth is accurate, perhaps to the second, the Sastyamsha itself will show what is the final result. Birth chart is the exterior body. Navamsha is the internal organs. Sastyamsa shows what is this particular graha is going to do by having this karmic body. So for example, they got a great body, external great body. They got extremely weak internal organs. But in Sastyamsha shows that with these two things, this particular graha will achieve to be a beauty queen or Mr. Olympia. And at the same time, they will deal with constant health issues in life. They will have marriage issues in life. So it's not like there's like one buffet table per planet. It doesn't work that way, that if it's an exalted planet, you get a buffet of good things. No, it's like a mixed plate. Everything comes with every planet. And especially if you even read some books, let's say by Arya Bindu, I believe that's his name. He was a early 19th century high exalted spiritual master who was an excellent Vedic astrologer. Okay, and even according to him, he said that the planets were behaving differently when Parashara wrote Parashara Horashastra versus what we are studying now as astrologers. That was Dwarpa Yuga. This is Kali Yuga. So, in this particular context, in this day and age, and especially with the live results that I've been doing of people's chart, debilitated planets bring money. Exalted planets show that a particular karma has been complete. And a person needs to learn the highest state of that planet, which may not have anything to do with what we considered exalted, which means getting money, fame, all the luxuries of life. So what you gotta understand everything. If you're gonna like look at one thing, you gotta look at the past and the future as well. What is the past of this particular science? Does this science need to be rectified? Because especially nowadays, you need a debilitated planet to succeed. Then, let's say you have great exalted planets in the birth Navamsha, and we consider that planet very strong in Sastyamsha, and it still gives bad results. It was greatly placed by sign, by its placement in the birth chart, Navamsha, Sastyamsha. But what we forget to see is the yoga this particular planet is creating with other planets. Perhaps it's creating a disastrous yoga, meaning combinations. And there are about 6,000 to 7,500 different combinations that are given, whether you look at from Nadi text to Parashara Horashastra to Faldipika, Jatak Bharanam, Jatak Parijatak, okay, Uttrakal Mitra, Pullipani Jyotish. And of course, in this day and age, most of us astrologers know less than 1%, less than even 0.5% of the yogas. So that's one thing. But what other thing is, with simple yogas that we know, we can assess how powerful this planet is. So you got this great planet, but the thing is, this great planet is hemmed between malefics, either by conjunction or on either of the houses. So let's say you have an exalted Venus in the ascendant, and you made this assumption that Venus is supposed to give you a great spouse, marriage, luxury, but 12th from Venus is Mars. Second from Venus is Saturn and Sun sitting. That's known as Kartari Yoga. You can call it Pap Kartari Yoga, but it's also known as a Kartari Yoga. It's cutting what Venus is. It's cutting whatever is in the middle. Or you can have Venus at 15 degrees in Pisces. Let's say in the ascendant. Make it simple. Okay. So Venus is at 15 degrees Pisces in the ascendant. Then you have Mars at 13 degrees. You have Saturn at 18 degrees. So what are they doing by degrees? They're hemming Venus. That itself is crushing the spirit of Venus. Sure, now, while the spirit is being crushed, we get that. But at the same time, it also could be creating a Raj Yoga. There could be several different yogas being created by one planet. So when a time period comes, you suffer sudden loss of your relationship. The 2-year relationship that you're about to get married into suddenly gets cut off. And you're like, well, I was watching this video by a couple talking about exalted Venus, and here I am now suffering. I wonder if astrology is working, and I wonder if astrology is complete bogus. Okay. But then what happens is 3 months into that period, suddenly you get a new job offer paying you 40% more than what you were making with your last company. So then, for those 3 months till that particular event occurred, you cursed me, or you just cursed astrology itself. After 3 months, like, oh, this is great. Maybe Kapiel was right. But guess what? He could be contradicting himself. He's just being him, or everybody else is just being, those astrologers who give everything as a mixed thing. So when something bad happens, they're right. If something good happens, they're right. Okay, it doesn't work. While we, whether we are clients or astrologer, need to know that a single planet will give all kinds of results. It'll give death of your best friend. It'll give birth of twins to you. And it'll suddenly raise your luck. And in that same period, it is giving you spine issues. Then you have to have like the fluid taken out of your spine. You're like, what in the world is happening? I thought this was supposed to be a good period. Yeah, it is a good period and it did good. But it's also a bad period. Why? Because it is perhaps creating a yoga, whether in the birth chart or divisional chart, that is giving some gift back from past life, some karma that you need to pay off in this life, in this particular time period. So it is a matrix of analysis that we need to understand and know and learn. And most importantly, the intuition side is the most important in astrology. Someone can say, well, no, if astrology works, it'll work mathematically. That's it. There's no intuition. If it works, like for example, KP Astrology, they're like, okay, your house result is giving 2, 4, 9, 6, 8. This and this is going to happen, and it's supposed to be correct because it's KP Astrology. And yet I have seen people coming to me saying, I've had a reading from KP. It was wrong. Why? I thought KP was accurate. This is why everybody is saying that, whoa, if you know mathematics and you can do these things, mathematical calculation, you're absolutely correct. But what they're missing is that this is known as a super science. The super science work with two things: the mathematics and cosmo and the intuition of the subtle astral plane. Because intuition only comes when your bottom consciousness, your bottom level consciousness raises a little bit higher, where your perception of existence becomes lighter. It becomes lighter. It's not heavy with this material things like this desk. It's heavy, it's solid. No, in astral plane, this desk will be like a feather. Once your mind is risen up to that particular level, it's like you are putting your head up from the water and looking in the left where there's past, looking in the future where there's future, and looking straight where there is present. So right is future. And that particular astrologer is able to see. So what happens is this. It's like a two-way receiving radio. You must see the chart. Some people are just plain psychics. Okay, fine. They don't need a chart. Some tarot people can give you even far accurate reading. And believe me, tarot, I 100% believe it. As much as people want to deny it and think it's a devil's work or it doesn't work, no. Tarots only work. Remember, tarot cards only work with certain few individuals. They are alive. They connect with you. And if they know that this person is not ready spiritually, this person is not ready mentally, we're going to just scare them off with this stuff. We're going to give them all wrong results so they get, this is not for you. Get out of here. You're not invited in this club. That's the thing about tarot. So same thing happens when an astrologer looks at exalted Venus. So what happens is their eyes sees the Venus. Their concentration is on Venus. The mind is doing trillion calculations about Venus, thinking about Venus, like, oh, so they got Venus in Exalt. Nobody has told them to look at Venus. They just saw Venus. And they're looking at the Navamsha, they're looking at things. And suddenly, because they're spiritually awakened and inclined, their consciousness automatically takes them internally to that lighter plane where they realize this exalted Venus, although it's Vargottama, meaning it's same sign in the birth, Navamsha, Dasamsha, Sastyamsha, whatever divinal chart, it's going to give them the most horrible result. That's how astrology works. You need to have a drop, not even the whole thing, just a drop of that intuition, and that drop can literally wet the entire chart. So there's a lot of parameters involved. There's a lot of divine parameters involved for you to say that this neutral planet is making you a multimillionaire, like let's say Venus in Gemini, or this Venus in Virgo is going to make you into a beauty queen, or this exalted Venus is going to give you the most horrible marriage. And actually the thing is, whether it's exalted Venus or any planet in Pisces, I have not seen them giving great results, because a planet in Pisces makes a person feel lost. They're like in deep waters and they don't know how to come out. They're trying to swim up. They have no perception of reality. Why? Because they're on the astral reality with the sign of Pisces. So Pisces, for this particular plane, never does well with the physical things of this plane, which is marriage, relationships, career, wealth, fame. You'll find much more spiritually devoted people with exalted Venus than people who are householders. But again, that too, you've got to look at the fact, do they have a yoga for a spiritual person? If this person is not spiritual and they're stuck in the material reality, they're going to suffer throughout their life because they just want that thing, that material thing, that family life, that career life. They don't have any perception of spirituality. Why? Because they don't have those combinations. Just because a planet is in Pisces doesn't mean it's going to give those results. So Venus is in Pisces, and let's say they're creating Vrinchi Yoga in the birth chart. Well, now that's a chart of a devotional person who's going to be devoted to some higher Devi, higher female goddess. So you can't just say, oh, well, Venus is in Virgo and is debilitated. Actually, with Venus, debilitated Venus can produce some of the most stunning looking spouses and wives for a man's chart. A debilitated Jupiter will bring in like a banker, jeweler, somebody who has Jupiterian quality of management and finance, and they're using it to just accumulate everything. They're not about like, oh yeah, let me give it to you. Oh yeah, let me do this. They are very money savvy. Exalted Jupiter is like, listen, I have been the greatest manager in my past lives. I've been the greatest teacher in my past life. Now is just the time for me to devote myself to the studies of, final stages. That's where Jupiter will give you exalted results. And you will notice actually Jupiter, when it's exalted, especially in Pushya Nakshatra, you'll find people who are very materialistic, people who want all the lavish things in life, all the gadgets in life. So you see, when you study just this much of astrology, you're going to have this much of consciousness of it, this much of, perception of it or review of what astrology is. Like, for example, what is my sun sign? Oh, what is my 2020 transit is going to do? Like, I just did a reading on 2020 transit where Jupiter is giving excellent results in Capricorn and is completely nil in Sagittarius. And they're like wondering, oh wow, 2020 Jupiter in Sagittarius, what's going to happen? Well, when you know a little bit more than just the basic of astrology, you get to find out that this particular Sagittarius Jupiter is like invisible for you. It's sleeping. It's not really doing anything. You want something done by Jupiter? Wait till it goes to its lowest debilitated position, which is according to you is lowest. But it's just a sign placement. And all these things, and I'm telling you this as my example, and I will even say this, for the past 2 years, I have been quite devoted to Saraswati. I've been quite devoted to Saraswati. I do her mantra every day. Not the regular mantra. This particular mantra was given to me with one of my friends and my colleague from the Pi team, you can say. And I don't want to reveal the mantra. I don't know if they wanted me to, or want me to. But I've been doing that. And from that, I have seen a huge difference in when I see a chart and what my perception was before this mantra. And of course, we are like, mantra, geez, I can do Om Namah Shivaya, nothing happens. I can do Gayatri Mantra, nothing happens. Well, the problem is, you lift a dumbbell for one time and you're like, oh, where's my muscles? Where's my Arnold Schwarzenegger muscles? Well, listen, you fool. Lifting a dumbbell one time or doing one rep is not going to make you into Arnold Schwarzenegger. You got to devote at least 6 years of working out, watching your nutrition, your sleep, and then you will see the results. And of course, you can add a bit of a steroids in there. And steroids in this part would be mantras, spiritual devotions. They are really steroids. So if you want to become Arnold Schwarzenegger, obviously you're going to have to take Sesanon or, Decagon or Decabolin or whatever, So if you want to become Arnold Schwarzenegger, well, you got the steroid in front of you. You've got the mantra, the devotion. As you guys have seen, my meditation room anyway, which I will show you guys in this video. But these are the things that needed to really understand why exalted planets give bad results and debilitated planets give good results. There's no one answer fits all in this video. It can never be that. There are many things that can happen. So this is why before you curse astrology, before you say it's nothing but a scam or sham, try to understand its depth. Try to understand its engineering. A true researcher will look at everything. And not just Western astrology. If they're smart, they'll look at Chinese, they'll look at Indian, they'll look at Persian. They'll look at Babylonian astrology. What is this? Perhaps what I'm hearing from Western astrology is only a 2% part of this whole Babylonian astrology or Greek astrology that is missing so many things, and people need to know that. And there are many people out there who went on to prove astrology wrong and then became great scholars of astrology. So this is where the whole, the main meat of the problem lies, is spiritual devotion. That is your answer. If you want a quick answer, you do your spiritual sadhanas, and then when you look at a chart, you'll see. Because if you're an astrologer and somebody comes in front of you and you're spiritually there almost, sometimes you can just do a face reading and you know this person is crazy. Just by their eyes sometimes, you will notice. One thing I've noticed in many people who are a little bit psycho or a little bit, crazy or have psychological issues, one eye, you will notice, will be a little bit off. And that one eye, okay, usually when the eye is a little bit off, it'll still look at the same thing. Let's say if they're looking at the lens, both eyes will look at the lens. But with certain type of people, one eye is looking at the lens, the other one just will be a little bit off. Maybe like a centimeter off from that eye. These are the little things that when you study it, you understand the whole cosmos. You understand these things. But if you are just starting and somebody comes in front of you for a reading, well, in order for you to go to that lighter astral plane and use your intuition, you need that switch You need to switch to turn on. You're going to have to turn the switch on. How do you do that? When you look at the planet, when you're looking at the chart, you're looking at the dasha. Like on your software, you see Mars dasha in this one box. Suddenly something will happen here, and suddenly inside will take your calculations to some other perception where you're like, man, this debilitated Mars is about to make this person a millionaire. And then you see why it's doing it. Then that additional unknown mathematics comes into play that may not even taught in any of the books. But let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is my spiritual room. This whole theater room, I have turned it into my devotional meditation room. Okay. And this, I mean, if I had no responsibilities in life, I would be here. Okay. But these are my gurus. These are my steroids. And especially her, who I'm completely devoted to. So this is one of the most original forms of Saraswati you will find, along with Lakshmi and along with this dancing Ganesha. But this is who I devote my, time to. So anyway, I hope this has given some insights into understanding not just exalted planets or debilitated planets, but neutral planets, friendly planets, enemy planets. You can read all the books you want, learn everything you want, but you're gonna have to have some access to the higher plane. And I'm not saying I have those access. I'm still a student. I'm still a beginning student on all of this. But it's just that I have seen how this has helped me. How just sitting in solitude with these folks has really made me understand astrology. And not really, I can't even say really, that means I should be a master. No, I can never be a master. But has opened up a whole new different library of information that I am going through day by day. Okay? So anyway, guys, if you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your planets are placed and to see your exalted, debilitated planets, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.